Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So today we will be doing the final mantra in Īśopaniṣad, mantra 18. This is in Trishtup Chanda, which is 4 lines of 11 syllables each. Agnenaya supataraya asman Vishwani deva vayunani vidvan Yoyodyasma juhuranameno Bhuyishtam te nama uktim videma. O my Lord, as powerful as fire, O omnipotent one, now I offer you all obeisances, falling on the ground at your feet. O my Lord, please lead me to the right path to reach you. And since you know all that I have done in the past, please free me from the reactions to my past sins so that there will be no hindrance to my progress. So this can be considered to be like um, an extension of uh, the previous verse. So in 15th and 16th mantra was a prayer for the Lord to bestow mercy by removing his glaring opulence. Right? 17th was the devotee expecting imminent death is asking for the mercy of the Lord by accepting whatever little service he did and ignoring all his faults. So, after praying for a direct vision of the Lord in 15 and 16, the devotee is now praying for liberation in 17 and 18. The summary explanation of the mantra. So the 18th mantra is same mood as, just like 16th and 15th are very similar, 17th and 18th are very similar. So it's a fervent prayer for causeless mercy at the time of death. Now, reading the verse in a slightly different way, it is also considered to be a summary of the Īśopaniṣad, in which case it is also a prayer for future endeavor. So this is the beauty of the Upanishadic verse, that they render themselves to more than one meaning. Right? So one meaning is, I'm dying, so please allow me to come back to you. The other is, the whole Īśopaniṣad essentially is talking about right from the time of birth, right from Īśavasya, that one begins to take shelter of Krishna's energy to enjoy about the allocated quota, all the way till the present mantra, essentially praying for the Lord to show the right mercy in executing the right endeavors for the right goal. So we will see both the modes being expanded by Srila Prabhupada in the purport and by the Acharyas. So Prabhupada is a relatively short purport of 8 paragraphs. First paragraph, he talks about how obstacles on the spiritual path originate. Then second, third, and fourth paragraph, he talks about achieving perfection, the gradual and the quick way. And in the final 4 paragraphs, how the omnipotent Lord guides the devotee. So, Krishna in this mantra is referred to as Agni. Right? So, it is said, O my Lord, as powerful as Agni. So, same upamanya is applied here, that the quality of fire is there in Krishna also. Just like the jiva was compared to soul, because the soul had the quality of moving rapidly from one body to another. So similarly, Krishna has the quality of fire, because he burns away the sins, just like the fire's main quality is burning. Like, so Krishna, out of his mercy, he burns away the sins of those who turn towards him. So that's why he is called as powerful as fire. He is also addressed as Vidyavan. So Vidyavan is omniscient. That he is the leader because he is both omnipotent and omniscient. So he knows all the paths to him, He also knows all the sins. So at the time of death, there is no place to hide. So if you notice that in the previous mantra, the devotee was asking the Lord to consider the smaran, right? Remember or consider what he has done. Superficially, it looked like he was trying to remind the Lord of what are the good activities that I have done. In this mantra, he is addressing the Lord as Vidyavan, that you know everything. So you know the good things that I have done and you know the bad things I have done. Now, at this time of death, there is no place to hide. So, since you're all knower, you're aware of everything that has been done, or even things that the jiva is not aware of, Krishna is aware about. Right? And then he glorifies the Lord as Asmad Juhuranam. So, Asmad Juhuranam is the removal of all obstacles. Right? So, these are the obstacles. So now this is where the two meanings of the mantra comes. So one meaning of the mantra is that it is referring to the obstacles at the time of death. Now what can the jiva do about the obstacles at the time of death? Nothing. Because there are no options left. The jiva cannot, he has no time. He cannot go and do prayashchit, he cannot do and do any further service. Everything is finished. So the prayer is that because of my past deeds, all these obstacles are there in front of me that are preventing me to obtaining your kingdom. So please be kind enough to remove these obstacles. Right? Now another aspect of it is that a practicing devotee also experience obstacles, and this is what Prabhupada will speak at length later on. Now, the devotee in himself may not have the strength to remove all the obstacles. So what is this prayer? The prayer is that there are so many obstacles that I will encounter. And that's why this is a summary of the Īśopaniṣad. So there is the obstacle of not being Ishavasyam, of being a Atmaha. There is the obstacle of avidya, of performing vikarma, of wanting impersonal liberation. There is the obstacle of varnashram dharma, of regulated sense enjoyment. So the jiva is saying that there are so many obstacles that I cannot surmount on my own. Please do that so I can execute my bhakti. So in this way, this is also a summary of the Īśopaniṣad. So Prabhupada talks about the three paths to progress and their obstacles. The first is karma. And Prabhupada says karma is the most dangerous because even a slight deviation results in sin. And so there is very, very narrow, restrictive guidelines that are given. That you have to do this, you have to do that. And whether you knowingly or unknowingly deviate from it, that karma becomes vikarma. Maharaj Nigi was giving so many millions of cows in charity, and one cow, it left, he gave it to one Brahman, so the cow left the herd of that Brahman and joined the herd of another Brahman who had gotten it charity. Right? So no fault of Niga, but still, by the principles of karma, it was a violation because after having given something in charity, you cannot take it back. So what had happened was that cow had left the herd of the Brahman, gone back to the king, and the king had then accidentally donated it to another Brahman. But the law of charity says that if you give something, you should never take it back. And because of that offense, even though it was unknowingly performed, Maharaj Jigi became a lizard in his next life. And the second point Prabhupada makes is that by performing activities, pious activities, one may be able to avoid vikarma, which is itself very difficult. But let's assume that by some good fortune the person is able to avoid vikarma, still the desire to enjoy remains. Because karma is essentially feeding those desires. maybe in a pious way, but nevertheless they are material desires. And ultimately those desires will force one to sin. Now the second path is Gyan. So in Gyan there is purification of the mind, control of the senses. Right? Like in Bhagavad Gita for chapter 4, Krishna talks about how Gyan requires one to restrain the senses and the purity of the mind by study of the scriptures and meditation. But the danger in Gyan is that the senses by nature require engagement. And when one is restraining the senses, then at some point it's like you keep pressing down on a coiled spring, more and more and more, and little bit of misalignment, little bit of inattention, and the spring springs back again, much longer than it was earlier on. So those following the Gyan, by intense effort, they may control the mind and senses. But one mistake and the senses take over, forcing the person to sin. And Prabhupada says, especially in the age of Kali, where the ability to control the mind is very, very low, Gyan is difficult to follow. And the third part is Bhakti. And no wonder Prabhupada says this is the best path. He says, regulative principles are such that one who follows them is promoted from the platform of fruitive activities to transcendental knowledge, right? So this is the gradual path of progression, that one performs karma properly. After performing karma, then one goes to the platform of Gyan, and then Krishna says, Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapantyante. After many births, then the person in knowledge surrenders. But the path of bhakti begins with surrender. Right? Even when the person is a neophyte, even when the person is a Kama Mishra Bhakti. But the fact that bhakti is there means surrender is there. And when surrender is there, Krishna's protection is there. So the nature of bhakti is that it is protected by itself. And it grows in that protection. So making progress in spirituality, so we have karma, which is the gradual process of regulated sense gratification, and the fall is vikarma. In Gyan, there is purification by knowledge and detachment, and the fall is when the senses rebel. But in akarma is the rapid progress of bhakti, because this is karma without any reactions, and if there is a fall, there is protection of Krishna. So when you compare bhakti with the other paths, Prabhupada says that there are many sinful reactions involved in karma kanda activities. Whereas in Gyan Kand, the path of philosophical development, the number of such sinful activities are smaller, but nevertheless they are there. But in devotional service to the Lord, the path of bhakti, there is practically no chance of incurring sinful reactions, because the devotee of the Lord attains all good qualifications of the Lord, what to speak of those of a Brahman. A devotee automatically attains the qualification of an expert Brahman authorized to perform sacrifices, even though the devotee may have not taken his birth in a Brahman family. Such is the omnipotence of the Lord. He can make a man born in a Brahman family as degraded as a low-born dog eater, and he can also make a low-born dog eater superior to a qualified Brahman simply on the strength of devotional service. Right? So, the potency of bhakti is there because it relies on the omnipotency of Krishna. So in other paths you are on your own. Right? So in karma, it is up to you to avoid vikarma. In Gyan, it is up to you to prevent your senses from engaging. If you fall, it's on you. In bhakti, Krishna takes charge and gives guidance. So how does he give guidance? He gives as Chaitya Guru from within and Guru from without. So as Paramatma, he guides from within, and as Guru, he guides from without. And a devotee is very attentive to both the directions. And once a devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, how do you know what to do? Right? So devotee said, uh, uh, because it's in the scriptures. And Prabhupada says, no, he guides me. So Prabhupada is referring to Krishna or Paramatma that was guiding. So the message of the Guru and the message of the scripture and the message of the sadhu, they all essentially give the same guidance. So example, if Srila Prabhupada had not given us the purports, we would not have understood anything. Like we could have read Śrī Īśopaniṣad 18 mantras in half an hour and be done with that. But there are so many intricacies in the mantra that only a realized acharya can reveal to us. And that is the mercy of Prabhupada to us. The reason we are able to appreciate the book and make advancements by applying the teachings of the books is because they have been revealed by Srila Prabhupada. Right? So the guidance is Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. The Shastra is the base. It has everything in it. The Guru reads the Shastra and instructs it based on the Shastra. Right? So the process is twofold. One, the Guru has full understanding of the Shastra so that he can explain. Second, that the disciple has a submissive attitude so that he can receive the blessings of the Guru by which he can understand. Right? So both these things have to happen. Because Shastras are like books of medicine. There can be a library of books of medicine. One cannot read the books and start practicing medicine. One needs to be somebody who himself has read the book, practiced medicine, is an expert in it, and then guides him. And when that person starts practicing medicine, then gradually he becomes better and better at it. So the Shastras speak of many things to many people in many circumstances. But it's the Guru who will understand the particular propensity and the circumstance of the disciple, extract the relevant aspect of the Shastra and apply it to it. So that is the first process. The second is when the Guru gives the instruction to the disciple accepts it in a submissive attitude. So submissive attitude means that he accepts it with a desire to act upon it. So a disciple should not treat the Guru's words as advice. They're considered as instructions. In the Nectar Devotion it is said, Priti Purva Guru Seva. That this submissive attitude should not be in anger or with hostility. Oh, this is my Guru, what can I do? I have to do what he says. Right? Priti Purva. That one should be very happily ready to serve the Guru. So Prabhupada then talks about the three-way protection to devotees. Right? So he says that the spiritual master, the Vedic injunction, and the Lord himself from within all guide the devotee in full strength. And essentially they are all reflections of the Lord. So the Vedas come from the Supreme Lord. The spiritual master is the representative of the Lord, and the Paramatma is the Lord himself. So the Lord himself comes in these three forms to guide the aspiring devotee. So hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord is itself an act of piety. So this is not material piety but spiritual piety. Right? So the Lord wants everyone to hear and chant his glories because he is a well-wisher of all living entities. By hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, one becomes cleansed of all undesirable things, and then one's devotion becomes fixed upon the Lord. At this stage, the devotee acquires Brahmanical qualifications, and the effect of the lower modes of nation, passion and ignorance completely vanish. The devotee becomes fully enlightened by virtue of his devotional service, and thus he comes to know the path of the Lord and the way to attain him. As all doubts diminish, he becomes a pure devotee. Right? So, a very, very encouraging and a wonderful purport by Srila Prabhupada that encapsulates the spirit of the Īśopaniṣad. Right? That's why that mantra is considered to be both a prayer at the time of death and a prayer for the living in the future. So what is the nature of the guidance of the Lord, right? So when does the devotee need guidance? All the time, but more so when there is when there is a falling. Why does one fall? Because of anarthas. Now, for those who are following karma, this fall is a helpless defeat. Right? Because when a person who's performing karma is depending on himself only. Right? So when he deviates from the path of karma into vikarma, he simply accepts it. That so be it. For a jnani, there will be a struggle. A jnani is more advanced, right? Because he's attempting to control his mind and senses. So there will be a struggle, but because the mind and senses are both powerful, there will be subsequent defeat. For bhakti, there will be struggles and success. So the bhakta in the initial stage, and this is what we can relate to, in the initial stage will fight between the pushings of Maya and the pullings of Krishna. But eventually there will be success because of the mercy of Krishna. And for one who is fortunate to be a Shuddha Bhakta, effortless success. Because all the struggles are against the anarthas. And for a pure devotee, there are no anarthas. So the success happens on its own. At the base of this is the understanding that the Lord is omnipotent. So potent means powerful. Omni means powerful in all ways. So we should have more faith in the ability of the Lord than we have doubts about our inability. And this is for devotees, right? What the statement means, that when a devotee is struggling, then we should have more faith that the Lord will pull us through, rather than given to doubts about one's or our own frailty. And sometimes devotees will just give up and they say, Krishna consciousness is not for me. I can't chant, or it's difficult for me to develop this service attitude, right? So strong doubts about their inability. But better to have faith about Krishna's ability. So we are weak, but Krishna is not. And so when we have that faith in Krishna's ability, success is there. Now this doesn't mean that we succumb to everything and say, Krishna, you're all powerful. You will help me. This is the mood of a sincere practitioner. So even the most sincere practitioner will carry anarthas that will create obstacles. And the most sincere practitioner will try to overcome those obstacles and struggle with it. So when that struggle is happening, one should have less faith in one's inability and more faith in Krishna's ability. Perseverance, we never lose hope till we lose hope. Right? So until we don't lose hope, we have hope. So the point is that Krishna has not lost hope on us for so many lifetimes. So why should we lose hope due to a few struggles in a short lifetime? Just put it in a bigger perspective. That how is it that we have an opportunity to do devotional service? Because lifetime over lifetime, Krishna has patiently sent those opportunities to us. And now when we have struggles, should we mitigate all the patience that Krishna has shown with us? Should we ignore all the perseverance that Krishna has showed in countless lifetimes, making himself available in the form of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra? So when we compare that with the few struggles in their short lifetime, why should we lose hope? So conclusion is that at the time of death, the only alternative available is that of surrender to Krishna, which is the essence of bhakti. So how much more effective if the surrender was always there? Right? This is what I said was the two meanings of the mantra. The surrender at the time of death or surrender right at the beginning of one's life. Therefore, the path of bhakti is most potent. Okay? So with this we end mantra 18. We'll do a quick review of the 18 mantras of Īśopaniṣad. So by the invocation in mantra 1, Īśopaniṣad established the position of Krishna as complete and independent. Right? Om Purnamada Purnamidam. He is complete in all with Ishavasya Sarvam. That everything belongs to him. Then in the next two mantras, 2 and 3, it spoke about the benefits of living in harmony with Krishna and the consequence of not living in harmony. Right? Both, like third mantra spoke about Atmaha, that such a person is the killer of the soul. Then in the next 5 mantras, 4 to 8, Krishna is further described. And I'm using the word Krishna, like I said, even though Īśopaniṣad doesn't use the word Krishna, use the word God, but we are used to addressing God as Krishna, so consider it to be the same. So in mantras 4 and 8, Krishna is described both analytically as an analysis of the qualities and poetically also as the greatest of all, without faults, and the support of all. Right? So mantra 1 established the position of Krishna, and mantras 4 to 8 expand on that. Now mantras 2 and 3 spoke about the benefits of living in harmony with Krishna and the consequences of not living in harmony. Right? So the next 6 mantras, they essentially expand on mantra 2 and 3. So in the next 6 mantras, 4 to 8 and 9 to 11, right and wrong vidya and right and wrong object of worship is described in mantras 9 to 11 and 12 to 15. Right? So this is the vidya cha vidya, right? And then the sambhuti and asambhuti. So essentially verses 9 to 14 are expansion of mantras 2 and 3. Mantra 2 and 3 spoke about the right and the wrong way to live with Krishna. Mantras 9 and 11 spoke about the right and wrong knowledge about Krishna. Mantras 12 and 14 talk about the right and wrong objects of worship. Right? So mantra invocation in mantra 1 is expanded in mantras 4 to 8. Then mantras 2 and 3 are expanded in mantras 9 and 11 and 12 and 14. So this is the analytical part of the Īśopaniṣad. In the final set of 4 mantras, 15 to 18, no more analysis. Simply praise for the mercy to Krishna, acknowledging one's own limitation and also accepting that the only way to him is by his mercy. Right? If you look at the previous 14 mantras, there is all about pursuing right and wrong knowledge, worshipping the right and wrong object, living in harmony or not in harmony of Krishna. So all endeavor by the jiva. Now after all the right endeavor, when the jiva is at the time of death, then the only thing that will take him back to Krishna is the mercy of Krishna. Even if all the endeavor was perfectly executed, the person lived in perfect Ishavasya concept. His pursuit of knowledge was exclusively vidya. His object of worship was exclusively sambhuta, for the absolute. Even then, the mercy of the Lord is needed to take the devotee back. And from a more practical perspective, the mercy is also for all the inadvertent imperfections that may have been executed. So this is our final review of the Īśopaniṣad. With this we end the study of Īśopaniṣad, and of course we end it only in the context of the Bhakti Sastri. It's a wonderful book that I strongly recommend. Small book, not very thick, that we read it over and over again. Every time we read it, we'll get new realizations, especially by the mercy of Prabhupada's purport. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.